For our photo shoot today, we are going to be focusing on a pair of shoes. And we're going to be taking what's called a macro shot of our pair of shoes of choice. So we want to try to get away from, we've already talked about composition and what makes a strong composition. And one of the things that makes a weak composition is simply taking your subject and placing it smack dab in the middle of your composition with white space, empty white space all around it. So a macro shot forces you to zoom in a little closer and really think about your photograph in terms of negative and positive space. The positive space, of course, being the shoes, and the negative space being the white background. So one of the reasons why I'd like you to set your shoes up on a white surface. Now, right here, I've just got a big piece of white paper. You might not have a big piece of white paper, but you could use any type of white surface, like a white tablecloth, a white towel. You could tear out several sheets of paper from your sketchbook and lay them down. Maybe like 4 of them will do it just to cover the surface. Because when you have a white backdrop, it helps you see negative and positive space better than if you have like a cluttered background. You can see also the white sort of creates contrast between the subject and the background, which helps you see negative and positive space better as you're zooming in. And you're ultimately, for this photograph, you're ultimately coming up with an overall composition for your final drawing. So it's important to be able to see the shoes in contrast to the background and what kind of negative spaces you have left as you're taking pictures. So I've got my white backdrop, I've got my pair of shoes. I am asking that everybody take a picture of 2 shoes. So the obvious take on that would be to get a pair of shoes, but if you want to do 2 different shoes, that's okay with me too. And you want to just start to position them in interesting ways. So try playing around with like putting them on their sides, leaning one on the other, crisscrossing, making them join or meet together in different placements, and snap a bunch of pictures. And as you're doing that, I want you to zoom in a little bit with your camera so that your shoes are breaking the edges on at least 3 sides of your photograph. So I'm going to use this viewfinder that I made out of a few strips of paper and stapled together because it's hard for me I can't really snap pictures while I'm taking the video with my phone. So I just made this rectangular viewfinder to sort of mimic my phone screen. I want everybody to be working in a rectangular format, not square. So I know on my phone I can choose square mode to take pictures in, but everyone is going to be making a rectangular format. Now, whether you hold it vertically or horizontally is up to you. I would try different things as you're snapping photos. But I'm just going to use this viewfinder to show you some different views that I might take pictures of. I want you to take lots of pictures today. I want you to think of this as a photo shoot, and then in the end, you'll be choosing your absolute favorite you'll just be choosing one to model your drawing after, to use as a reference for your contour line drawing. So even just kind of looking at this setup that I have here, I wasn't even really playing too much with the way the shoes are positioned, but even that is kind of nice. Notice how, now pretend like this is the edges of my phone screen, right? And I'm gonna snap some pictures. Notice how the edges of the shoes are going off the edges of the screen. So that's what I mean by break the edges. And actually that happens on 1, 2, 3, 4 sides. So on 4 sides, the shoes are breaking the edges, which makes me know that this is a true macro shot. All right, macro shot is when you zoom in on something smaller so that it fills the frame and it breaks the edges of the frame, essentially. So just playing with different views, I could simplify if I wanted to and just capture that view. All right, so say this is my view, say this is the edges of my camera. Right, and I am breaking the edges on at least 3 sides, 1, 2, 3. It doesn't have to be all 4 sides if you don't want to. So if you look at this, the way this is framed right now, I have very distinct negative shapes happening, like in this corner and on this whole side. And I actually kind of like that shape that the edge of the outer contour of the shoe makes against that white. So snap a picture, move it up a little. All right. Similar view with negative space in different spots now, snap a picture. You can also change your viewpoint. So right now I'm standing directly above the shoes. I have my camera sort of on this pedal still to film it without shaking too much, but if I just sort of move, it's a little hard. I'm working with both hands here, but I can play around with different viewpoints. I could get eye level with the shoes. I could get a completely different viewpoint altogether, or something like that could be cool. One thing I like about these shoes are the shoelaces, so I might want to play with those a little, play those up a little bit more, have those kind of cut through my negative space in an interesting way. So definitely play around with, oh, that's kind of cool. Play around with different placement of the shoes, put them in different positions, mess with the shoelaces, mess with the angles, and take several photos, zoomed in photos of your shoes. As long as you have a little bit of the second one in there, that'll fit the requirement. So like this example, oh, and I can turn this vertically and play around with vertical cropping. So even though I have like mostly the left-hand shoe in the photo, as long as I have a portion of the second shoe in the photo, that will meet the requirement of having 2 shoes in the view. Okay, so it doesn't have to be equal parts of each shoe. Play around with different positioning. Snap a picture, snap another picture, change angles, snap a picture, change angles, snap a picture. So just take several photos, and that way you can go through them and not just be stuck with whatever photo you took. You know, you'll have lots of choice to decide what is it that you're going to be invested in making a drawing out of. At the end of this video, I'm going to have several of my final examples, photos that I took from this photo shoot, just so you can see some clear examples.